welcome again. So we're pretty excited to have you. If this is your first time visiting with us, please be sure to sign in. So as we do it, if you're not familiar, on your fifth visit, we'll give you an exciting Georgia Southern Big Cafe mug. So for many of you who are curious, so what happens on your 10th visit? Well, we're getting something else for you to get. So every 5 visits, you'll be able to get something pretty neat. So instead of a huge, massive collection of mugs, there might be some of the big paraphernalia or swag we'll be able to pick up on. So we're thrilled about that. So before, though, just a reminder of the format. So we have 2 entrepreneurs that are going to be presenting, 6 minutes. Then there'll be 20 minutes for you to provide any level of feedback, ask for clarifications, give them any suggestions or input on the topic or the problem that they have put forward. So really it's their opportunity to get expert advice from you guys as the experts in the audience. Saying, hey, maybe you should try this. Have you thought of this type of approach? So your input, your feedback is very valuable to them in moving forward in their business. So then after the first one presents, we will take a short, brief break, so that you can go back and refill your mugs with coffee. And the coffee complements of the great folks at Kidovations. So we're really thrilled about that. So on other days, other than the second Wednesday, if you want to swing by and grab a cup of coffee right next door, you're welcome to patron our good coffee folks through there. So we're excited about that. Also, I'd be remiss not to mention Elena. So we have coffee and donuts today. So thank you very much, Elena, for swinging by and picking up donuts. So we're really thrilled about that aspect as well. Before we begin, what's that?
Blame her for the weight gain.
Blame for the weight gain. You may want to stop that. So before we kick things off with our first presenter, I do want to just make a quick little announcement. For those of you who may remember, we started a masterminds program with Dr. William Monponzo, one of our economics professors there at Georgia Southern. Met with these individuals over how long?
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So wow, 10 weeks to go through John Maxwell's program. So we're really excited. So it was a great 15 weeks. It felt like 15 weeks. 10 weeks, but felt like 15 weeks.
It's 10 weeks.
The only time I hear that kind of parallel is typically with marriage. So as long as not here.
It requires persistence.
Persistence, so it was fantastic. So we had 3 individuals manage to make it through the entire program. So we're really excited and want to recognize their commitment to the coursework and for hopefully their future leadership skills that they developed through John Maxwell and Dr. William Monponzo. So with that said, Marco George, it is a pleasure. And where is Larry Lester? Larry Lester. You're not, would you mind give someone else the camera? Well, you don't even have to worry about that. We've got the fancy
Send it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this does it too. And for those who did not complete, I'll be available to talk to you all and see if you get an incomplete. We do that at Georgia Southern, so don't feel bad. If your business, what was it, commitments made it impossible for you.
Greatly appreciate everything that you did. So Jill, coordinating from that standpoint, but our way of saying thank you for all the effort and look forward to it.
Thank you. And then those of you finished, except for Laurie, didn't make it because of a job at Georgia Southern. The rest of you can join me and I get a picture for and send it to our team.
Are you wearing the hat on purpose?
Oh, I can take that on.
I just want to make sure before you actually get the photographs in.
Yeah, the past 2 days I've not been dressed warm enough and I started getting sniffles. So decided to keep warm. All right. Oh, you can join. You did the right thing. You're the boss.
We're not blind. There you go.
And Jill can come too.
1,
She coordinated.
2, 3.
Wow.
Very cool. Don't get salty. Okay, so with that said, we set, ready to go?
We
All
are.
right.
We're going to set the stage a little bit differently for this big cafe. I'm thrilled to see such a huge audience, and this will be fun and challenging for this group. Today we have Tina and Jeff Banks from Kidovations presenting to us. And I'm really excited about the topic, and I really challenge those of you that will relate to Miss Tina and Mr. Jeff and what she's saying to take an opportunity to give her some insight and advice. And for the opposite, and again, you'll learn who you are once they start presenting, I challenge you to maybe change a few things about how you show up in these meetings as well. So with that, Tina and Jeff Banks with Kidovations.
Very cool.
And I'd like to say good morning to everyone. And for those of you all who don't know me, my name is Tina Banks, and I am the founder of Kidovations Educational Experience here in Statesboro, and I am an introvert. But I know that in order to have a successful business, and in order to be successful and to run a successful business, that I have to connect with businesses and families in the community. So before Kidovations, Jeff and I worked at the U.S. Postal Service in Atlanta. And in August of 2002, we came to Statesboro for my cousin's wedding. And after the wedding, we visited my uncle's church that Sunday. And Jeff got up in the middle of the service and he said, "I think we'll be moving to Statesboro." Now, this is not a conversation that we had before. We hadn't talked about it or anything. And lo and behold, you see, it was 4 months later, we left the U.S. Postal Service, we packed up our 3 young sons, and we moved to Statesboro, Georgia. And he said, "I'm going to be starting this church, this children's ministry in the church," and that's exactly what we did. We moved in with my mom, and can you imagine having 3 kids and moving into your mom's house with your husband? But so we had to get out pretty fast, and we were there for 3 months, and then we got our own location on Marywood Drive. And this was actually the first location for Kidovations. It was actually an in-home facility. And back then it was just Jeff and myself. So we really didn't feel like we had a need to really connect with the community. But as our business began to grow and expand, we expanded into a commercial building located at 1200 Brampton Avenue, and that's over in the Market District. Do you guys know where that is? Kind of next to McAllister's Deli. So when we moved into this building, this was like our first time becoming managers, or like we like to call ourselves leaders. And it was our first time hiring team members. So having a business in our home and then moving to a commercial business was a huge adjustment for us. And then we realized that in order for us to grow and become a viable business in this community, that it would be very important for us to become involved in the community and to make those one-on-one connections with others. So the way we went about doing this was by signing up for parades, conducting community back-to-school bashes, and setting up booths at Mill Creek and at Georgia Southern for the health fair. And while we were there, we would pass out our flyers and brochures. We also set up at Scare on the Square, and we would pass out candy at the trunk or treat. We also went on a few websites like Visit Statesboro and the Chamber of Commerce and the DSDA, the Downtown Development, Statesboro Development Authority website. And after evaluating the websites, we came up with a few places and organizations that we felt like we wanted to join. And a few of those were the Newcomers Club. We joined BNI, we joined the Chamber of Commerce, I joined the Professional Women's Club, the Exchange Club, and the African American Business Owners Association. And what I found that by being an African American minority introverted business owner is that it's kind of hard to break through the networking circles. Some have been easier than others, but then some have still been hard to break through. So here's where we are now. Almost 14 years later, we currently have 2 locations, roughly 108 students, and about 20 employees. And I must say, during these 14 years being in Statesboro, we have made many connections within the community. So here's my question for you guys, or questions for you all. And that is, how do I leverage networking opportunities effectively when I'm not the loudest voice? And secondly, what are some other organizations that you recommend we try?
Thank you. All right, so now we'll open it up to our 20 minutes of Q&A. When you do, please introduce yourself and state your business. And as Tina has laid out in front of us, we'd really like to hear from some of the other introverts in the room. And if some of you extroverts in the room who have the tendency to offer up advice, we want to hear that as well. But we're particularly looking for the advice that other introverts would want to share with Tina and Jeff. And in order to do that, there may be some silence. And you extroverts will be very uncomfortable with that, but it's okay.
Why do you want to leverage networking opportunities? Like, what are you looking to get?
Name?
Name, business.
Oh, John Myers.
I want to meet others in the community. I want to be involved. I want to give back. We want to be able to give back.
Okay.
And we want the community to know that, hey, we're here to provide a service for families.
I just have a question. William Apaz, College of Business. You didn't describe this sort of service. Is this outside of the traditional school system? Is this a private school offering, or is it after school?
It's a child care learning.
It's a child care.
Marco George, Covenant Security and Surveillance. As I look at your first question, one of the things that's benefited me within the networking circles is connecting with others who are well connected and allow them to be that voice for you. You say you're not the loudest voice. I've been blessed here locally that those that I'm involved with in BNI, for lack of any better other word, they sing my praises. So they're introducing me constantly to others. And so, me being new to the Statesboro community, and trying to break in a market where, my competitors have been here for 35 years has been tough. But because of those connections I've made in BNI with people that are more ingrained, people that are originally from Statesboro, they've sung my praises, and from that, I'm not an introvert, so I don't have that challenge. I don't have that challenge, but at the same time, I try to wait my turn until someone introduces me, and allow them to sing my praises. That way, there's some borrowed credibility from them knowing this person. There's already a level of trust. So that would be my suggestion is, as you work the networking circle, making those one-on-ones, you don't have to be the loudest voice to talk to someone one-on-one and make that connection with them. Just kind of, as most introverts do anyway, sit back, observe, and see who the influencers are. And then, work on making a connection with that influencer, and they'll introduce you, and they'll sing your praises. And once they really, as they get to know your business, I visited your place. It's phenomenal what you all do. So once people realize exactly what you all do and the type of service you all offer and how different it is from the average child care facility, then they'll begin to sing your praises. So I say, you know, as you, within the network circles you're already in, look for those influencers within those circles and build that one-on-one relationship.
Let me comment again, William and Tina, you know, we talked about it. You call yourself leaders, right? Leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, it's not the issue. You've got to find a voice. You've got to tell your story. Everybody knows. You know, the best story about you, I heard him say, let the people talk about it. No. You've got to tell your own story. Develop the confidence in your product and be able to step out and tell that story. Develop brochures if you're not comfortable. There are all kinds of, develop a Facebook or any of the social media outlets. That's how, and I know you're connected to me, but I don't see you saying anything. You know.
I don't think I am on social media.
Oh, you're not.
Just on your email.
Oh, my email. Okay, I saw your request. Maybe I didn't respond to it. Request to be a friend. But the thing is, that's what everyone is doing these days. You've got to tell your own story. You've got to be intentional about it. And let me do a shameless plug. I'm doing intentional living by John Maxwell. This quarter, except I'm doing the virtual mastermind with people all over the country, starting tomorrow night. It is important. I used to be an introvert. I was born in an African country. People sat on me, do everything to me, and I said, they will learn. No, they won't learn. John Maxwell looked me in the eye and said, William, I want to achieve significance, but I can't do it without you. And I said, how have you lived your life? I said, well, you know, from my culture, you're not supposed to speak until you're spoken to. You're not supposed to. I said, well, those are your prior limitations, right? And therefore, then others are telling your story, good or bad. And it's hard to get out of the hole when others are telling your story. And they choose to what? Tell your story. So that is the thing. Chapter 1 is about learning to tell yours, so you can get a book if you don't want to do the later on. But at least you got to read it. I almost brought it, but I don't know. Tell your story.
Thank you, William. Thank you. Who else?
Fred David, Minuteman Press. One of the things you talked about is organizations you're in. What kind of success have you had, you know, in those many different organizations? Have you found that some were helpful, some were a waste of time?
I have. And I'm no longer a part of all of them because I did find that some were helpful and some I was able to engage in and some were not.
Kevin Blakely, independent. Have you tried creating your own organization? Reaching out to maybe to groups and say, you know, if the other ones aren't benefiting you, start your own organization and grow from there. And you can reach out to other, I mean, I'm sure your business plan is to grow, but I mean, look into these other towns that maybe do the same type of thing you do or that can benefit you with the schools and what have you and work from there.
That's good, thank you.
William, I'm planning downtown development. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I just appreciate that you come downtown and do these events and sponsor. And that was my suggestion. Have you thought about sponsoring like one of the Bullock Rec teams? You know, they get to put your name all over their jerseys. And, you know, maybe partner with Party Harbor and have an event where you have lots of inflatables and things like that. So, I mean, it might cost you some, but your name will definitely get out there. You know, we have made some partnerships with some printers, shirts or marketing materials so that, you know, you're not on social media, but other people are. So maybe they'll capture your logo, your branding, and continue to come to all the First Fridays because you're interacting, you're doing your thing face to face. with your client, which is the child.
Thank you, those are some great ideas.
Bob Chambers with Citrus Solution. Have you ever thought about, I know it'd be tough, but have you ever thought about going to Big Cafe and doing a presentation?
That's
a great idea.
Thanks for the plug, Bob.
The things that you listed are great. I mean, I think you're doing a fantastic job. You're missing a huge point, and that's social media. If you do a search on carpet cleaning in Statesboro right now, yesterday, we were #1 on that search. And that's important. And you have to get involved with social media. You're social people. The other thing I was thinking about is that Jonathan does a wonderful job in that, by the way. So if you have any questions, check with him. The other thing, you're obviously people of faith. Contact all the churches in the area and tell them who you are and what you do. We connect. People of faith connect. So that would be a suggestion for you as well if you haven't done it.
Thank you so much.
Tammy, Fairy Tale Tints. Whenever I see that you're talking about the loudest voice, I don't think you have to be the loudest. What you should be doing, I think, is just maybe educating people on what you do. And the more people that you educate, the better off you're gonna be.
Like that a lot.
So just educating people on the services that you provide.
We'll start doing that more.
Bob Lenhart from Coastal Empire Christian Camp. I agree with what Bob had just said in regards to contacting the churches. Now, are you church oriented, or not church oriented, but are you religious oriented in your program?
Yes.
All right, to me as a grandfather, that's important because most of the time you have children ages, what age do you start? Nursery?
6 weeks
6 weeks to what age?
till 4, and then we have some that come after school.
All right, your influence on their religious could impact them before they go on to another school. And when they get to a public school, religion is not there. You may be fortunate to get some teachers that will speak out. So I'd do that and contact the churches. And the other thing would be also let people know that what you expect your students to do is know the alphabet or know numbers. I have grandchildren that I'm living through this now. And as they got into pre-K, they knew math, they knew the alphabet, and it was a great learning experience for them, and it was a religious background.
Okay. Thank you.
Dusty Ziegler, running all state agency here in Statesboro. What I feel like you're asking is, how do you market your company without you being the focal piece of that marketing? And here's an idea. Get a mascot. Get something like a mascot that captures the culture that would be appealing to the kids and also adults for your business and what you do. And use that mascot, to go to these various functions and events that you do and create that culture and perpetuate that culture. And it'll take some of the burden off of you. Then you can, in conversations, direct the focus of the conversations about that mascot and about that culture that the kids and the parents like.
Dusty's for rent.
300-pound gorilla.
Big
right
kiddo.
What else?
Brian Reese, Party Harbor Integrals. I just look at your second question, other organizations, and as business owners, we're always looking for different organizations to join and kind of be a part of. The only one I didn't really see up there that I'm part of is the Statesboro Apartment Association, and I know you're probably thinking that's mostly college kids, but a lot of families are moving into those apartments, and Henley Properties is on there too, and they're all these families. And I got a lot of benefit from there, and I've been with them for years, and that's another organization to try out. They're really real good group, easy to get along with. You get to present, vendors who get to go present, and you might have already been there, I don't know if you
I
haven't been there.
haven't, but I'd like to get the information from you.
Absolutely, we'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? The uncomfortable silence.
Well, if anybody wants to know what I'm doing, I'm holding her stuff. I'm holding down. Somebody needs to go to the hospital, and I'm taking notes that you're saying. So I'm not just. I'm not on Facebook.
Well, once again, thank you.